Hi and welcome everyone to our 94th episode of The Little Inside. And I'm still Tobi. Seriously, I still am. And this week I'm going to talk a little bit about how to charge the mind's battery. So let's get started right after the intro. Our mind is very much like a battery. It powers the direction of our life. It is almost like a creative force. The mind creates the way we perceive the world. The mind creates the way we receive the world. The mind creates the way we build the world, very much like in a dream. So it's very important to understand how the mind works, and particularly how to empower the mind, how to charge it really well, so that we can spend our life in a meaningful and liberating way. And just like a battery, we can charge our mind and we can drain it. So first of all, I'm going to have a look at what drains our mind, and then I'm going to have a look at what charges our mind. There's several things which are draining our mind, which are draining the energy of our mind. So for example, that could be thoughts, that could be emotions that you're experiencing. All that takes energy. Basically, you can say every movement inside of your mind costs your mind energy. It has to expand energy in order to create. So as you notice, I'm not saying that only negative thoughts or only negative emotions or only negative circumstances are draining your mind of energy, but actually every thought, every emotion, every mental activity costs your mind energy. So this is important to understand, because when our mind is losing energy, it gradually becomes more and more unhappy. The symptom of a mind losing energy starts from a very gentle, slight sensation of anxiety and discontent, and moves all the way down into depression and eventually suicide when the battery is completely drained, when the mind is completely empty, there's really nothing anymore to hold on to. Then the suffering is so intense that is almost like a black hole. Very often a depressed person would explain their state is almost like a black hole. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It doesn't matter what positive motivational force they're trying. It doesn't matter what kind of system they're trying to get out of that. It just every effort they're putting in to get out of the depression just seems to fuel the black hole. It makes it even worse. So this means your mind is kind of almost like imploding. It is collapsing in itself. It withdraws into itself, but in a very negative and unhealthy way. So this would be a mind that is completely devoid of energy. It doesn't have any energy left. And of course, if your mind is charged, then you're experiencing this as a gentle kind of, all the way from a very slight, gentle type of happiness, all the way to extreme forms of bliss and ecstasy in the deeper levels of meditation, for example. So the mind is not only just like a battery, it's also very much like a muscle. You can train it. Your happiness is like a muscle, and you can train it. And what it takes to train your mind or to charge your mind is the opposite of what it takes to charge your body with good health. So if you charge the body, everything that the body needs is based on certain movements. Let's say the movement of digestion, the movement of the blood circulation, the movement in the nervous system, the movement of the hormones, the movement of your immune system. All that makes sure that you're staying healthy. If the movement in the body is blocked, if the flow of energy is blocked in some way, if the blood flow is blocked and movement is not possible, that results in disease, in illness. The opposite is true for the mind, only here in terms of movement. The mind is not nourished and maintained by movement. The mind actually is nourished and maintained by silence. You might know this yourself, because every night when you go to sleep, you first enter the REM dreaming state, and then you go down into deep sleep gradually. And in the deep sleep, there's absolutely no mental activity. The mind has completely shut down. There is no dreaming going on. There is no storyline going on. There is no perceptions going on. There is no opinions, no belief systems, not even a self going on. You're just completely empty in that state. After the deep sleep is finished, you're coming back into dreaming sleep and then waking state again. From the deep sleeping state itself, it becomes very obvious and evident that it is something incredibly good, both for your mind and your body. In fact, when all mental activity has stopped, that's when you start to heal. That's when growth hormone is released. That's when your body works in a very, very efficient, balanced, and harmonious way. It's almost like the you story, the me content is kind of gone. And you're out of the way for a little while. Your mind is out of the way, so the body can do what it does best. It heals itself, it finds balance, it restores its energy. And the same happens, of course, to the mind. Now, this we can use as an observation to show us that when the mind becomes quiet, not only does it help us to find solutions and answers to our daily life problems, but it also helps us to restore our mental energy. And when we restore our mental energy, how do we know whether we're having enough mental energy, whether our battery is well charged or not? We know it simply by the level of happiness and joy that we are experiencing in our daily life. If you're experiencing more and more happiness and joy, that is unfabricated, just a natural state of vibrancy of happiness and joy, it very likely comes from your mind being very much at ease and quiet and, yes, devoid of any much movement or unnecessary movement. See, your mind is very much like a tool, right? You can use it. You can use the thinking mind, the intellectual mind, to solve your problems. But the intellect has gotten very much out of hand. If you're looking at the way we're spending most of our day ruminating, thinking about this and thinking about that, even when we do not have to, actually, that is a big problem. So we're continuously draining the mind of energy. And then we are even, sometimes putting in more information that has to be digested. We're constantly looking into our smartphones, browsing the internet, just taking in information and more information, which the mind all has to process. So the mind never really has a chance to actually properly rest. So there's a lot of people with sleeping disorder, insomnia, and what do they do when they can't sleep? They look into their phone, even putting more crap into their mind. It just keeps going on as a vicious cycle. So if you want your mind to be happy, to be balanced, and to be well charged, then your option is to go for silence. To many of us, this might appear counterintuitive. It might almost appear like, well, where's the life in silence? Where's the vibrancy and the joy in silence? Just sitting down, being quiet. How is that supposed to make me happy? Well, here we have to go into experience. This cannot be explained in words. It is in fact an invitation for you guys to actually sit down and make the experience yourself. And for that, we have to learn and practice meditation regularly and properly. The cool thing about a well-charged mind is that you can put it to work. It's like having a very, very powerful tool at your disposal. Whereas most people nowadays, their tool is completely broken because it's just constantly in use. It's never oiled, it's never polished, it's never restored, it's never upgraded. It's just that same old tool which is getting more and more used over time, right? So if you're entering silence, it's almost like you're building yourself a new, more powerful, more refined tool. When your mind is well charged by silence, it becomes very creative. It becomes very easy to find solutions to your problem. It becomes very easy to see directions in your life. It becomes very easy to do basically anything during the day that you want to do. So using the mind well means giving it a well-balanced routine of using the tool when you need to use the tool, and then learn to stop using the tool when you do not need it. So most of us are kind of like building a fence with a sledgehammer in the morning. We go to office, we work, we have to use our thoughts a lot. So it's like building a fence with a sledgehammer. But then when we come back home from the work of constructing a fence, it's like we're still carrying our sledgehammer around with us. We bring it into our bed, we shower with it, we eat with it. You got to learn to put the sledgehammer down. It's a nice tool. Thoughts are a nice tool, but we need them only rarely during the day, only at specific times. And so this would imply mastery over your mind. You can make good use of your mind when you need to. When you do not need to, you have the choice to just relax and be at peace. So this is all that comes to mind for this week. Now, I hope that that was useful in some way or inspiring. If you do have any questions or comments, feel free to write them down in the comment section below. I'm always happy to read your comments, and I'm looking forward to see all of you again next Wednesday for our next little insight. Until then, I say bye-bye.